Obviously, I'm my father's daughter. I adored him. Did I think he was perfect? Heavens no, I don't think any human being is. You know, my father was a very, as Jack Valenti said so eloquently, a very human present. When he talked about opening the library, he wanted you to see him, as he said, warts and all.
We were in bed, and he said, "Well, now, have you cut out your drinking?"
This is Adam McGurney of the New York Times. The LBJ Presidential Library announced that it is holding a summit likely to be attended by 3 of our living ex-presidents to mark Johnson's signing of the Civil Rights Bill. But this is also part of a broader effort by the Johnson family and his aides to prompt a reconsideration of our 36th president and his record. I spoke to Luci Baines Johnson, his youngest daughter, about his legacy and how she would like him to be remembered as we sat in the presidential suite at the library in Austin, Texas.
Look at Lyndon Johnson when he came into the presidency. Look what he looked like when he left. Vietnam was his cross. When young men and women were marching outside those gates of the White House saying, "Hey, hey, LBJ, how many boys did you kill today?" Nobody wanted that war less than Lyndon Johnson. Both of his sons-in-laws served in that war. Lyndon Johnson felt so personally about each one of those young men and women who were fighting that war, and the mothers and the fathers and the sisters and the brothers who were agonizing with them, because our family was in that position too. So a lot of people like to say the Great Society is dead. And it's living forever in all of us. Never will we again tolerate separate water fountains or toilets or places on planes, trains, and automobiles. Never again will we say that you can have restrictive legal covenants based on your religion or your ethnicity or your color of your skin.
Let us close the springs of racial poison. Let us pray for wise and understanding hearts. Let us lay aside irrelevant differences.
My father had impeccable handwriting. He was a school teacher in a time where school teachers really focused on that. The piece of legislation that he would like his penmanship to look the best surely doesn't, because he would take a pen, start a little bit of a letter, put it down, pick another, take another, so that he could hand these pens out to those who were present, who had been such an integral part of making it all happen. I said, "Daddy, I just got to ask you a question." And he said, "Sure." And I said, "Daddy, why, with all those great civil rights leaders there, Roy Wilkins and John Lewis and Martin Luther King, and such a wonderful cadre of brave men and women, would you give that first pen to that elderly, sort of disheveled Republican leader, Everett Dirksen?" And he put his head in his hands and said, "Because, Luci Baines, I didn't have to do one thing to convince any of those great civil rights leaders to be for that legislation. They were already for it. But if it hadn't been for Everett Dirksen and his willingness to commit and to bring members of his party with him, those great civil rights leaders and I, Luci Baines, would have had just a bill." When you can hear the tapes of Lyndon Johnson in his own words at the time, and all of those tapes have now been open to the American people, and you can hear them for yourself. Now, some of them are a bit difficult for a daughter. Sometimes there's language or energy or decorum that might not be what his wife or mother or daughters would have chosen. But that's the beauty of it. It's Lyndon Johnson with the bark off. It makes it all very believable. And you see his anguish, the devastation he felt over so much that was occurring in our country in terms of civil rights. And you see his commitment to take that pain.
It's very important that we not to say that we're doing this and we not do it just because it's Negroes or whites, but we take the position that every person born in this country, when he reaches a certain age, that he have a right to vote, just like he has a right to fight.
I think the agony of Vietnam will weigh in the history books just as it weighed on Lyndon Johnson's heart. What do I hope that this great anniversary, the 50th anniversary, of a flood of great civil rights legislation will make? The 1964 Civil Rights Act, the 1965 Voting Rights Act, the 1968 Fair Housing Act. I hope we will look back and see the extraordinary accomplishments. If we do that, then it will be a great credit to Lyndon Johnson's sacrifice, Dr. King's, to Congressman Lewis's, to so many thousands, yet millions of Americans